Regular meeting. Welcome, everyone. Would like to also welcome our youth commissioner that's joining us tonight, Natalie Anderson. It's great to have you with us. Okay, first up is the approval or correction of the minutes, and you all have a copy of those before you. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes as presented or any corrections?
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. That motion passes. And we move now to the approval of the agenda. You all also have a copy of that before you. So at this time, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda, including the changes on page 42.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the agenda be approved as proposed with the addition of one item, which will be a discussion of the status of the sale of alcoholic beverages in the unincorporated areas of Cabarrus County.
Okay, you've heard the motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the agenda, including the changes on page 42 and with the addition of one item in new business. So that would become item G2. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. And we move now to recognitions and presentations. And first off, from Active Living in Parks, Year of the Trail Proclamation. And it says Londa Strong on my agenda, but I don't think this is Londa, so welcome, Byron.
Thank you, sir. And thank you for the time, Commissioners, to discuss the Year of the Trail Proclamation. The North Carolina General Assembly designated 2023 the Year of the Trail. The purpose is to promote and celebrate the state's extensive network of trails, greenways, and park trails. In cooperation with all of Cabarrus County Parks and Recreation Departments, a collaborative effort to highlight all the trails, greenways, and park trails has been established. There will be one specific event in late spring that will include all departments. Additional activities and events will be scheduled throughout the year and will be on the Year of the Trail website. With that, I would like to read the proclamation. Whereas Cabarrus County's natural beauty is critical to its residents' quality of life, health, and economic well-being, and whereas the trails that span across our community are an integral part of the recreational and transportation possibilities of our area, and promote an enjoyment of scenic beauty by our residents and our visitors. And whereas the parks, greenways, trails, and natural areas in our community are welcoming to all and provide a common ground for people of all ages, abilities, and backgrounds to access our rich and diverse natural, cultural, and historic resources. And whereas Cabarrus County's natural assets, resources are integral to disaster recovery and resiliency to climate change for future generations. And whereas Cabarrus County nature trails vary from Frank Lisk, Camp T.N. Spencer, Vietnam Veterans, and Rob Wallace Park to the local greenways and other municipal trails. Whereas trails offer quality of life benefits to all as expressions of local community character and pride, as outdoor workshops for science education, as tools for economic revitalization, as free resources for healthy recreation, as accessible alternative transportation, and as sites for social and cultural events. And whereas all local park and recreation agencies will collaborate to celebrate one specific day in May and highlight all other activities and events for the year, and whereas North Carolina General Assembly designated 2023 as the Year of the Trail in North Carolina to promote and celebrate the state's extensive network of trails that showcase our state's beauty, vibrancy, and culture. And whereas North Carolina is known as the Great Trails State, now therefore the Cabarrus County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim 2023 as the Year of the Trail in Cabarrus County and commend its observance to all people, adopted the 17th day of January 2023.
Thank you, Byron.
Thank you.
Commissioners, you've heard the proclamation. Do I hear a motion that we adopt this proclamation as presented?
So moved.
Okay. We have a motion and several seconds. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Okay, next up is a proclamation regarding Black History Month, and I will read that proclamation. Black History Month proclamation. Whereas Black History Month is the observance of a special period to recognize the achievements and contributions of African Americans to our county, state, and nation, and whereas this observance presents the special opportunity to become more knowledgeable about Black heritage and to honor the many Black leaders who have played a part in the progress of our county, and whereas such knowledge can strengthen the insight of all our citizens regarding the issues of human rights, the great strides that have been made in the crusade to eliminate the barriers of equality for minority groups, and the continuing struggle against racial discrimination and poverty. And whereas, as a result of their determination, hard work, intelligence, and perseverance, African Americans have achieved exceptional success in all aspects of society, including business, education, politics, science, athletics, and the arts. And now therefore be it proclaimed that the Board of Commissioners for Cabarrus County, North Carolina, do hereby recognize February 2023 as Black History Month and encourage all citizens to participate in the educational and celebratory events honoring the contributions and accomplishments of African Americans. Commissioners, you've heard the proclamation. Do I hear a motion that we adopt the proclamation as read?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion passes unanimously. And we move now to informal public comments. As this is the first meeting of a new year, I wanted to run over our summary of our policy on public participation for this board. And I'll read those as follows. The board has adopted a public participation policy that provides reasonable rules on how the public can have their voice heard by their leaders. Under the policy, the board welcomes all viewpoints. However, speakers should be respectful and observe proper decorum. Speakers are free to discuss substantive concerns of public interest, but irrelevant personal insults and attacks are not allowed. Please do not identify minors without permission from their parents. Speakers must register with the clerk by filling out a yellow card before speaking. Speakers usually have up to 3 minutes. You can get a copy of the full public participation policy from our clerk. I wanted to also mention that over the last couple of meetings, we have had speakers that did not abide by the time limit that has been approved by this board, which is 3 minutes. In a couple of instances, I have allowed that to go forward due to the fact that the speaker was speaking about me personally, and I felt to cut them off would appear to be self-serving, so I did not do that. But it is my responsibility as chairman of this board to make sure that our meetings run by the rules and run smoothly, so we're going to very strictly enforce those policies going forward. When you are speaking during public comments, you will be able to see the timer that's there. The buzzer will go off at 3 minutes. When that buzzer goes off, I ask that you complete the sentence that you're speaking and then move away from the podium. If you do not move away from the podium at that time, I will ask you to step away. If you do not step away, then I will ask law enforcement to remove you from the chambers. So that way we are sure that everybody gets treated equally and fairly. And so we do have, and we've got the cards divided into 2 sections. We'll have a public hearing later on in the meeting where folks will have an opportunity to speak. So if I call out your name for this first session and you wish to speak during the public hearing, just let me know and I can make that change. So our first card is from Jerry Anderson.
Jerry Anderson. I represent the Anderson family, or those people, as Lynn Shue would call it. I'm here about the investigation they did on my daughter. And, you know, I went to get her help. Federal government said that she was a helpless child. State government says she was a helpless child. And I believed at the time that she really needed help. And I was getting help anywhere I could. And I went to the social services down here and they said they could help her. Anyway, after the investigation, they didn't say they screened her wrong, but they did say from the very beginning that she was a competent kid. They was a competent person. And they went on and had their prosecutor in court, Jay White, prosecute her 3 times without a lawyer. And then they didn't even offer her to our family. And they adopted her real fast. I'm just wondering what family she got into. But I'm just gonna say, my child stayed at this place right here, 3 Rivers. I sat in them chairs. Her number was 2010-10-2. It's just like her being dead to me, trying to get her help as a mental child. She stayed in here till she was 18. She got out. Me and her mom split trying to take care of her. She was so helpless. She had my name when she died. Her child had my name. She never lived outside my house. That's a little wild. She also went to your day mark up here. She also went to Old Vineyard. I say she's real competent, or this child needed help. She went up here at Davidson, every one of them. Last one she was at when y'all come and took her child from my house on a Saturday. I have a recommendation for you. If it takes a Saturday to come and steal a child, something's wrong. And the only thing them workers didn't have were masks on them. That child never needed to go nowhere. She was in school down here the whole semester, going to school, church right beside her playing basketball, and skating up there. I had her there. I've never misused nobody, misdone nothing wrong to nobody. Dogs, all my life, plants, and my grandchildren. And them workers were wrong. I tell you about them, I can't understand. You say, you lock your door and say, sue you. I can't get back what I lost. But I want justice. I want my granddaughter back where she needs to be. She was 14 this month. I love my granddaughter. She never should have left. But about her.
Our next speaker is Jeter Anderson.
Jeter Anderson. I too am coming up here to speak about this child taking scandal that's going on in Cabarrus County here. And it's with 2 social workers, Alicia Van Poel and Deshonda Christian. And they had no reason to remove this child from this home. The best reason we got is because we didn't pick up the phone. And that's still the best reason I got why this child is gone to this day. Because we didn't pick up the phone. Look, they were shopping for a child, and they grabbed that child quickly. And this is going on with Jay White up here. And y'all let it. Y'all know about this. If my problem ain't fixed, why? I think I'm a little special. I'm a veteran's child. We're a veteran family. I should be looked at. You're not treating my dad and veterans like trash, Mike Downs. When we come to you for a problem, you need to listen, open your doors. And some veterans don't know what camaraderie is. I think they're only veterans for VA purposes only. We need some camaraderie. This veteran said his mentally ill daughter needed help, and y'all didn't help her. What did you do with her then? You neglected her, and you abused her, and you exploited her to take her little girl. And that's not okay again to this day. The door is still locked, and you're sitting there with a blank stare knowing this is going on, protecting Jay White for what? For what? Protecting these social workers for what? I could say what I'm saying because it's true. We got a child-taking scandal in Cabarrus, and everybody should be concerned. Everyone. This was a beautiful child, and like I say, the best reason she's gone from my home today, we didn't pick up the phone. So I never got to see this child again. We raised her. She had a birthday, January 8th. God, do you know what it's like to be screen wrong? I'd probably rather see someone get mauled to death by dogs than get screen wrong. We got a brand new mental health facility coming up here in Cabarrus. What good is it going to do if you can't screen the individual right to get them there? We might as well send them to Burger King because they're not going to make it to this behavioral place. They're going to get screened incorrectly, especially with incompetent workers like Delisha Vanpool and Deshauna Christian. And we cannot have burnt out, incompetent individuals. We must get rid of them. You must confirm with me that you got rid of them. Or I'll be up here speaking about this little scandal of taking children, black children, if that, every meeting. Thank y'all.
Okay, our next speaker is Rich Wise.
Good evening, council. My name is Rich Wise. I'm a citizen of and taxpayer of Cabarrus County. I'm also an elected official of the town of Midland. Midland for years have been mistreated by members of this board. Steve, Lynn, Mike, you have the years kept Midland from having a seat on the Wasatch board. You've had these conversations behind the scenes where you are comfortable and not once addressed it in public session here in this room. There is no transparency in your actions to deny us the seat. You've also kept county services to bare minimum in the southern part of the county. We have no senior center for the elderly population. Our library is only open part-time, which the town of Midland pays $45,000 a year for. It is closed on Mondays and Fridays. You make the town pay the rent at the library, for the library. No other town in this county pays for the library rent. Why do you demand a town with a $2.5 million annual budget subsidize the county with an annual operating budget of $318 million? You are building a new library in Mount Pleasant, thanks to Mike Downs. You are building a new library in Concord on the west side. And there's also talk of a new library in Harrisburg, but the town of Midland doesn't get anything. Yet the county manager Downs will not support a new library and a senior center in Midland, even when the town has offered to donate the land for the new library and the senior center. Steve, Lynn, Mike, you have all held back the Midland area. You do it in private. You do it with secret conversations that really come into light. How many private conversations do you three have with Kenny Wortman and get him to switch sides? What did you promise him? $7,000 in campaign cash? What else did you promise him that the public doesn't know about? Mike, aren't you supposed to be politically neutral? How can you sit up there when you lobbied Kenny behind the scenes not to back Barbara and Chris for leadership positions? That's not professional. How can you look at them in the eye and knowing what you did? And I please ask the county commissioners to stop going to people in Midland and telling them not to come up here and talk. My First Amendment right gives me that right. Please, stop doing it. Thank you. And I didn't go over your time this time.
Okay, our next speaker is Jim Quick.
Good evening, Commissioners. I've got a written comment from Elizabeth Narvega. She's a resident of Midland, and she tracked me down because she could not be here tonight, and she wanted me to read this into the record. Good evening, Commissioners. I apologize. I was unable to attend tonight's meeting in person, but I'd like the following items to be read and added to the record. At our January 10th Midland Town Council meeting, the councilmen were discussing our 2023 4th of July fireworks event at Rob Wallace Park. It was mentioned by some of the councilmen and members of the public that rather than having a fireworks show this year, they would like to expand the event a bit and to have a stage, music, and food trucks. During discussion, it came to my attention that the biggest barrier to expanding the 4th of July event is the approval we need from you at the county level. One of the biggest issues is not allowing guests to park on grassy areas in the park, which severely limits the amount of people who can attend. There are also other permits and approvals for stage and food trucks, etc., that need to come from you since Rob Wallace is a county park and not owned by the town. I would like to strongly emphasize my support for the bigger 4th of July event and ask you, particularly Commissioner Wortman, as our town liaison, to work with us to cut through the red tape and allow our small town to be able to celebrate and enjoy the events in the community park like other municipalities in the county. We will continue to ask and fight for Midland to receive the same attention and representation this county board, from this county board as we deserve and other municipalities receive. So your help and consideration is very much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. And that concludes all of the cards that we have for informal public comments tonight. So we now move to the consent agenda. The items on the consent agenda are all items that we have discussed at length at our work session 2 weeks ago. So at this time, do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. And we move now to new business. We do have advertised a public hearing for an economic development investment. Samantha or Paige, did you want to have a few comments before we open that public hearing?
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for this opportunity to present this project to you this evening. Project 1984 is HSREI LLC. The proposed project location is 5301 Stowe Lane. It is in Charlotte, but located within the city limits of Concord. The new Hendrick Motorsports manufacturing facility will support and allow for the expansion of their existing manufacturing operations performed by Hendrick Motorsports. The 14-acre site will consist of a 155,000 square foot building that would open in 2024. The key processes in this space are fabricated metal structures, prototyping, and assembly. Other operations feeding these processes include CNC machining, composites, and electrical. Supporting activities include engineering, quality control, business development, purchasing, production, and program management. Hendrick Motorsports has invested in specializing manufacturing programs outside of the racing industry since 2019 and continues to expand its capabilities and capacity. Hendrick Motorsports manufacturing supports a variety of commercial and government programs. Their expert manufacturing services have provided quality employment for teammates transitioning from racing work, as well as new hire workforce added to support expanding requirements. Hendrick is investing to support future growth in specialized manufacturing here in Concord and Cabarrus County. They plan to create 50 new jobs with this project, with average wages above our current county average wage, and they will be able to retain 75 existing jobs. The projected investment is estimated to be $14.9 million in real and personal property. The Cabarrus County grant analysis is based on that estimated $14.9 million projected investment. We are asking for your consideration of a 3-year, 85% economic development grant. The estimated grant for that 3-year term is $272,672. Net revenue to the county during that same grant term is $48,000. We are happy to answer any questions you have. There are representatives here tonight with us from Hendrick Motorsports that can answer questions too. But thank you for your time.
Great, thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions for Samantha?
I've got a question. So this site proposal is right next to property that they already own, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and now the current property that they're on, that their campus, I guess it was proposed, or it was told to us, what exactly goes on that property?
So this particular project is a total of 14 acres, 9 of which they currently own, and then the remaining
Okay.
that they would be purchasing.
Okay, so
that answer?
it's not 15 acres, so it's 15 acres total?
14 acres total, 9 that they currently own, and then the remaining 5 that they would be purchasing for 14.
Okay, and now
Yes.
what other activities are going on this property?
On the entire
Yeah.
campus complex? There's a lot. Can I ask the representative from Hendrick to come up here to share all that they do on the Hendrick Motorsports campus?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you for the opportunity to visit tonight. Our existing campus is about 80 acres for Hendrick Motorsports and then another 30 acres supporting Hendrick Automotive Group. It's interesting how a race team really got to this point is a neat part of the story, and I want to share that with you if I may. But to answer your question, the functionality that goes on the existing campus is chiefly around auto racing. And so this new business that we're getting into, contract manufacturing, supporting aerospace and defense, commercial and government programs, does not have sufficient space on that campus. That's why we're expanding.
Great.
Yes.
Any other questions about the Hendricks project? Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Okay, at this time, I will open the public hearing and invite anyone to the podium that would like to speak on this matter. And I have just one card, which is Marshall Carlson, who we just heard from, but you're welcome to come again.
I appreciate the opportunity to speak with the commissioners. As you've seen in our submittal, we plan to build a 155,000 square foot advanced manufacturing center adjacent to the Hendrick Motorsports campus. This facility supports our growing business serving commercial and government programs. Our products are chiefly precision fabricated metal structures, machining, and the engineering that supports these programs. The way a race team got here is a pretty neat part of the story. In early 2020, when the COVID virus shut down all of our businesses, Rick Hendrick made a commitment to all the employees of Hendrick Automotive Group and Hendrick Motorsports to continue their income and benefits until the companies ran out of money. There are 1,100 of those employees working here in Cabarrus County. Thankfully, over time, we did all get back to work, but during a very dark and difficult period, when there was a cessation of revenue going into those businesses, Hendrick employees were assured of continuing income and benefits. About the time things did get rolling again, the next challenge we faced was the implementation of NASCAR's next-gen racing platform at the end of the 2021 season. This league mandate meant that the race teams would no longer design or build most of the race car components like teams have been doing for decades. We estimated this would impact at least 100 of our staff. In an effort to again do all we could to take care of our people, Rick Hendrick committed to invest in developing new areas of work for external customers who need the same high-quality, precision manufacturing capabilities of this transitioning workforce. Hendrick Motorsports had to seek and achieve ISO quality certifications, hire new types of engineers and technical specialists, train for welder certifications, buy new machinery and equipment, and upfit work areas to support process manufacturing. I'm happy to report high-quality jobs have been retained right here in Cabarrus County, serving customers who never before sourced products from this area. In fact, we expect that 50 or more new jobs will be created in the first 3 years this facility is online. We want to be located right here in Cabarrus County, and it is more attractive for our folks to be located here as well, as opposed to commuting 20 miles away to an area with less expensive land and taxes. In summary, this expansion is about securing and growing high-quality jobs right here in Cabarrus County, redeploying a transitioning workforce into new lines of business. And I appreciate your consideration tonight.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Is there anybody else that would like to speak on this matter during the public hearing?
Again, Jim Quick from Concord. I commend Hendricks for being innovative, and many of our businesses in Cabarrus County had to look hard and dig into their pocketbooks and to consider how they would get through the pandemic. And so it's awesome to see one of motorsport's leading companies keeping jobs here, being innovative, and reinvesting in this community. Commissioner Wortman, Commissioner Meismer, during the primary, both of you said this kind of incentive is exactly something that you did not want to see Cabarrus County do. Here's a business that owns property, who already has most of the jobs here, and frankly, probably is going to proceed in doing this incentive whether we vote for it or not. So it seems to me that an incentive is simply only rewarding them for being innovative and rewarding them for keeping the jobs here. $272,000 is a lot of money. And this business is probably going to go ahead and continue to do this. Economic development said we've got to go after diverse jobs, and I commend Hendricks by bringing manufacturing jobs, something that this county certainly needs. But I think we'd be better suited to take this $272,000 and earmark it for another company that wants to come into the county instead of a business that's already here. Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else that would like to speak during the public hearing? Okay, seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing. Commissioners, is there, you've heard the information. What would be your pleasure on this item?
First, I want to thank the representatives from Hendricks for being here, and thank you for, being part of the community and for all the business that you conduct, here in Cabarrus County. As we do, want to thank all businesses that are here in the county that are operating and that have retained their jobs during COVID. Many of the employers in Cabarrus County have retained jobs throughout COVID, and we're proud of that, so thank you for that. But I have a question for this board. How are we to say to the folks of Cabarrus County who are suffering, barely affording paying their rents, mortgage payments, having to pay for, or struggling with the increased cost of car repairs and groceries, daily life with the inflation? They're barely able to pay for the increased health insurance premiums, prescription drugs, and also, in addition, and most importantly, seniors and veterans of this county who can no longer afford their property taxes in this county, who have lived here their entire life. Are we going to send a message to the citizens as a board that we're going to reduce the taxes of a multi-billion-dollar company, but all at the same time, this very board has increased the property taxes on the local citizen for the last 8 years? In addition, the Hendricks Company has already received 2 tax breaks from this board in the past, so this will be the third one. The Hendricks Company has an annual revenue of over $9 billion. Now, I was just reading an article the other day that reported that the top 1% of the wealthiest Americans in this country have gained more than $6.5 trillion in wealth. That's in addition. That's just in the last year, in year 2022. Now, I don't blame Hendricks for being here and asking for this tax break. Our policy allows for that, so I don't blame them one bit. However, I'm here to represent the taxpayer, the middle class, like myself and all the people in this room. And I think it's important that we do not embrace these extreme liberal economic policies. And that's exactly what it is. These liberal economic policies for these tax breaks for multi-billion-dollar companies is paid for on the backs of our local citizens who never receive a tax break. I cannot vote for this tax break for the multi-billion-dollar company while this board implements tax increases for our local citizens.
In order to follow a procedure to have discussion on this item, I will go ahead and make a motion to approve an economic development agreement, 3 years, 85% between HSREI LLC and Cabarrus County, and to authorize the county manager to execute the agreement on behalf of the board, subject to review or revision by the county attorney. Do I hear a second to that motion?
Second motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and so now we will open up the floor for discussion.
I would like to say a few things. Thank you again for the representatives from Hendrick Motorsports from being here. I would like to say, I've been in motorsports myself with family, whether it's Trans Am Series, go-karts, various things throughout my life. And I know most folks in the racing industry are very passionate about their product and their reputation. The only thing I will say is I have a concern about this with, like Commissioner Meisner said, you have had 2 prior tax incentives. You will proceed with or without an incentive to do this. And in the current economic climate, and the downturn and the instability of the automotive industry, most recently I read a Forbes article, Carvana's got a lot of problems. They're laying off people left and right. They're down to 30 hours, I think, a week. They, I think they're laying off 4,000 people. And, they're also considering filing bankruptcy according to this article. They may be forced to file bankruptcy by I think it was Q3 or Q4 of 2023. So I have concerns with that. Right now we're in an economic kind of vacuum as to we don't know which way's up. You look at the price of eggs and you look at the price of gas, and, then you have our citizens, I think Mr. Meismer and several other people I've spoken to regarding incentives and different various things are very, very concerned at where the economy is going. And for those reasons, at the very least, I would be willing to do a 1 year as a compromise, but I wouldn't go for the full 3 year. I don't think in this economic downturn and where the economy is going, it's a wise decision, on top of the fact that we've already given 2 incentives to this company.
Thank you. Yeah, I will offer some comments on the motion. I think that this is an excellent opportunity for us to take a Cabarrus County business and support them as they grow. I think that Hendricks, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they probably have a presence in some form or another in all 50 states in the United States, and have the flexibility and the opportunity to locate anywhere they choose to go. So it is not a foregone conclusion that they would choose Cabarrus County for their expansion. I am happy and appreciative that they have considered Cabarrus County as a location. They could, as was mentioned in the earlier comments, they could easily go somewhere else. Their employees, existing employees in Cabarrus County, could choose to commute to another location, or they could hire new folks from another county. So in offering this incentive to keep those jobs here in Cabarrus County, we are providing jobs for the folks that are currently working there, and we're providing jobs opportunities for 50 additional people to work here in Cabarrus County. One of the things that I think that a lot of folks do not understand incentives. If we choose not to give this incentive, and Hendricks chooses to locate this expansion in some other area, and I think most of us are keenly aware of the level of motorsports involvement in our neighboring Iredell County, which is not a long commute. They could choose to locate that there. If that were the case, then the property taxes that we will receive from this expansion on year one would be zero. By offering this incentive for a 3-year period of time, we help this company to establish themselves in this new venture that they're involved in. We preserve the jobs that are currently in Cabarrus County, and we offer new jobs as well. When that investment period, that 3-year period is up, then we receive full benefit from the property taxes that they pay on that property. So the only way that we lose in this proposition is if they choose to locate somewhere else. And our Cabarrus County residents do not get benefit of those jobs. Also, I think something that we overlook is the indirect impact. If we look at the number of employees at the Hendricks Complex, I think I heard 1,100 employees currently. Every single one of those employees, they probably eat perhaps breakfast and lunch in one of our local restaurants. They shop in our local stores. If they're buying clothes, I feel sure they probably go up the street to Concord Mills during their lunch hour and shop there. There are a lot of indirect benefits to Cabarrus County residents from having this operation there. So from my perspective, it is a win-win situation for Cabarrus County and for Cabarrus County taxpayers. We talk about frequently when we're involved in incentives, it may involve companies that are moving here from other places, and we welcome them as well. But I've heard it said many times, well, what do we do for our local companies? Well, this is an example of one of those local companies that we are helping them to grow in our community. I think that is happening at all different levels of companies. I think some of the entrepreneurial efforts that our Economic Development Corporation has been supporting over the last few years have enabled some businesses to open up that have 2 employees or 3 employees. Hopefully they will grow and they will do well as also. And when we support investments like this, we're helping those folks as well for their businesses to prosper and grow. So I am very much in support of this project and certainly plan to vote in favor of it. And I'll open up the floor for additional discussion or comments.
Mr. Chairman, let me make a few comments on this since I'm a homeboy. You're a homeboy too, so. But I'll tell you, any time that we have the opportunity to provide jobs, create stability, more stability in Cabarrus County, we're trying to make a difference, and we are making a difference. And when you say no to opportunity, well, you're not necessarily taking that opportunity away from yourself, but from our children. And the children are the most valuable asset we have. You know, all of this other stuff would go away if it wasn't for our children. And I think what we're doing here is providing jobs. Just like I don't want to divert from what we're talking about with Hendricks. I very much wholeheartedly support what they're wanting to do. 1,100 jobs, 50 more coming, and the additional revenue, tax revenue, will help us continue to pay the bills without putting that burden on the taxpayer. But you take a company, some of the ones that we've just recently approved with economic development. Those of you that's got children and grandchildren that are probably in elementary or in middle school, at some point, when these companies have start paying the full benefit of, the full tax burden that we're all levied with, then that's going to be their education. Kenny, you got 5 children, and if you're like most people, children and their grandchildren, you want your kids to work as close to home as you can. You want opportunity provided for them. When I was way back, 16, 17 years ago, 16, 17 years old, the only opportunity we have, and Rex, you remember, you've been around here a long time. All of you has been around here a long time. What did we have? We had cannon meals. That's all we had. I made $1.43 an hour in the mill, working for the mill. I had a choice, go to work in the mill or go in the Army. I went in the Army and served my country for 3 years. Got out, started my own business. This is still America. This is still the land of the free, and you can do anything and be anybody you want to be. But who are we to take away opportunity for our children and for our grandchildren? Chris, you don't have any kids. Gotta get married first. But if you had children, you would want those children to have the best. Not a one of us out here that don't want our children to have the best. And when we provide opportunity to help a business like Hendrick or Eli Lilly or any of them that come here, then we're helping our children. We're building a future for them. That's our future generation. I said that all along. We're building a future for future generations. And when you take that opportunity away, you're not hurting yourself, you're hurting them. And I wanted to say this with all due respect to Barbara and Chris. It wouldn't matter, Chris, if it was this project or 10 other ones, because your mindset on economic development is not the same as mine. I got kids, I got grandkids. I see the future for them, and I want it to be brighter than it was for me. All I had was cannon meals. But we got all of these things now that this board has been able to provide. Lanny, you've been around a long time. You know, you've been here all your life. You know the way it was. You know the way it is. And, we're just trying to make a difference. I wholeheartedly support you. Thank you for being here.
Commissioner Shue, I've heard you say that, and we just agree to disagree respectfully. Sure. But, I've heard you make the argument before about, the future. Well, I'm only 35 years old, so this is more of my future than, most of the people. So I trust my instincts on how to make my future the best and how to make the future the best for the citizens of this county. Like I said, being a young man, I'm going to be here to see some of this, and I feel like this is the direction we should take. But, I also hear that, I keep hearing that we are providing jobs. We don't provide jobs. The private sector provides these jobs, and that would be Hendricks or any other business in the county. We are not providing that to the citizens. It's the private sector that provides the jobs. And then, to mention that after their incentive is over or expires, they've already had 2, so what's not to stop them to come back to get, if this one's approved, that'll be the 3rd. What's not to stop them to come back for the 4th? And we've had other companies that have done the same. So it's easy to say that after this is approved and after the incentive, the tax break expires, that then we receive full revenues. Well, how about these repeat tax breaks that we keep giving? We're not benefiting from that. If we keep giving tax breaks to multi-million-dollar and multi-billion-dollar companies, how is that going to benefit us? These multiple, tax breaks. One other comment I wanted to make. Now, is this on City of Concord power or is this on Duke power?
So my understanding is that it's customer choice over there, and I think, I'm not going to commit one way or the other, but I think it's going to end up being City of Concord.
Okay. Now, I know the City of Concord has not had all these rolling blackouts like Duke Power, but you would not believe the number of phone calls I've had over the past, month about people losing their power because our infrastructure cannot handle all this development and all the growth. Now, I am all for businesses expanding. I'm all for a business coming, but for us just to roll out the red carpet and encourage this strain on our infrastructure, we're already in a situation with, water and sewer. And so now we're going to have to start looking at does the county have power needs? You know, I had folks tell me on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day that they lost power for 8 hours at a time. Now, if we keep continually, like I said, rolling out the red carpet and adding burden to our infrastructure, how are we all going to benefit from that?
I'd just like to thank all the commissioners for finally stating where we all stand on this. That's all I wanted from the beginning. I was called out during a speech that it is no secret that I was not in favor of incentives while running. I met with Paige Castrodale with the EDC, met with all sorts of people. Still not in favor of all of them, but I have learned to see which ones are the better ones and which ones aren't. I think it's also important to point out that the ones that are showing up here are generally the ones that there's been guidance given that it's a good chance of approval. The general public probably will not know how many we decline because we decline it in a closed session, and we're not allowed to disclose that information from a closed session. Therefore, what you see is kind of what we've given direction on. So we could deny all sorts of them. The general public wouldn't know. It's easy to paint out a take picture of a company here. I would like to take my time and provide some information with what Hendrick has given back to this community. They've been employing people for 40 years almost. I'll be 40 in March. So you guys have been employing people for about as long as I've been alive. Hendrick actually employs 1,150 employees. 630 of them are employed by Hendrick Automotive Group, and 520 of them are employed by Hendrick Motorsports. I'm just going to read it. This is my notes. Hendrick is committed to serving the community. Hendrick Auto Mall, Concord's annual month-long breast cancer awareness campaign is something that they do. The Toyota of Concord's Camry donation in support of our Cabarrus County Sheriff's DARE program is something that they do. The long-standing support of the Concord-based Speedway Children's Charities. Hendrick Automotive Group operates 6 dealerships that represent 9 brands in Cabarrus County with a current inventory nearing 1,000 total vehicles. The Hendrick Luxury Collision Center in Concord is one of the most certified regional collision centers with 14 certifications encompassing 17 different auto manufacturers. They started with 5 employees in a 5,000 square foot space, and today they encompass nearly 500,000 square feet of state-of-the-art facilities. The proximity to Hendrick Motorsports campus was a key reason that GM Racing located their new technical center in Cabarrus County that opened in 2022. I would also like to point out that in 2021, Hendrick's social responsibility program, the Hendrick Cares, they did give back. They provided 230,000 individual holiday meals, $1 million to food banks, 5,545,000 pounds of food, and $100,000 for STEM education needs. Hendrick Motorsports Vice Chairman Jeff Gordon provided a charitable grant to establish the Jeff Gordon's Children's Center at Atrium Health Cabarrus. The race team, Hendrick Motorsports supports race team operations through its aviation group, which is one of the largest operators based at Concord Regional Airport. Hendrick's Aviation Group has donated airlift support to transport medical personnel, refugees, and emergency aid supplies to assist in Hurricane Florence in 2018, the Haiti earthquake in 2010, and Hurricane Katrina in 2005. So while I am not in favor of all incentives, the chance to give back to an existing company that has poured out into this community, that was just in 2021. I won't pass that opportunity up, and I would like to thank you for being here. Is it existing? Yes. Would they more than likely build here? Yes. However, with as much as they've given back, I think it's okay that we give a little bit back for 3 years as well.
Thank you.
I'd like to make one more comment, Steve.
Certainly.
Lynn, I hear what you're saying, but I think we're also being a little bit naive about the future of our children. I can tell you firsthand that when my daughter was in school, she knew that we didn't have the jobs, and she had no desire to stay in Cabarrus County. She wanted to better herself outside this county. And I think we're naive if we think that, oh, we were born and raised here, or we've lived here our entire lives, that we're going to stay here our lives. Probably more than 50% of the students that go through Cabarrus County schools will not stay here. Whether they want to travel abroad, they want to be involved in some other industry that we don't even have in the region. So I think we're a little bit naive if we're anticipating that all of our students that go through here stay here. The ones that do, absolutely fantastic. I'm grateful to that. But, my daughter, when she graduated, she got a job and she moved. She's never been back. She has no desire to come back here because her industry is not in Cabarrus County. It's not even Charlotte-Mecklenburg. So there are a lot of industries that aren't anywhere in our region. So I think, Lynn, like I said, I think you're a little bit naive into thinking that this is all for the future of our children and that they're all going to stay here. I just wanted to make that point, that when we're looking at incentives and looking at these things, we need to take into account that they're not going to stay here. You know, and my son may very well move at some point too, because the jobs that he wants to do or are interested in are just not in the region.
I want to say again, too, to the Hendricks representatives, we appreciate you being here. You know, you just have to witness our disagreements. We just have fundamental disagreements on corporate tax breaks, and it's just is what it is. But thank you guys for being a part of the community. Thank you for all these, you know, contributions to organizations within our community, and you know, whether it's a government entity or a private organization. Thank you for that. We just respectfully have different opinions on that, and you're just here to see that, so.
I also wanted to point out one other thing. This was voted on Thursday at the City of Concord. So the City of Concord, I talked to Mayor Dush, and it was voted on unanimously by 7 publicly elected officials and fully endorsed and supported by the City of Concord as well. Like Chris said, a lot of us just disagree. Maybe not always disagree, but on this one, we disagree. But I wanted to throw out there that it was also unanimously voted on by the City of Concord as well.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, I'd just like to say that, no, we're not going to keep every graduate from our high school working here in Cabarrus County, but that doesn't mean we're not going to try. I'm not going to try. And so I'm going to do everything that I can to help promote opportunities here in Cabarrus County, so that if our young people do choose to leave the community, it will not be because there were not good jobs available for them. And on the question of multiple incentives going to a company, I want to say to the Hendricks companies right today, I will be so happy if you come back again. Because if you do, it means you are further expanding and you are further creating more job opportunities for Cabarrus County businesses. And when we have a local, homegrown business that's been in our community for 40 years, we love to see them come back again. So I hope that we have an opportunity to have this conversation again very soon. Is there any other discussion? If not, we do have a motion on the floor. The motion is to approve an economic development agreement, 3 years, 85%, between HSREI LLC and Cabarrus County, and to authorize the county manager to execute the agreement on behalf of the board, subject to review or revision by the county attorney. So we will now move to a vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say no.
No.
Okay, that motion passes 3-2 with Commissioner Strang and Commissioner Meismer voting no. And thank you. Appreciate you all being here. Okay, so we move now to item G2, and this was the item that was added upon the approval of our agenda. That regards a discussion of alcohol sales in unincorporated Cabarrus County. I think I got that correct, and I'll turn the floor over to Commissioner Workman, who added that item.
There's been some discussion in the community about this. Everybody I've talked to was not aware that the unincorporated areas of Cabarrus County are still dry. You can get alcohol in Kannapolis, Concord, Mount Pleasant, Midland, everywhere except the unincorporated parts. So there was a resolution that was drafted up by David Goldberg, and I'd just like to read it, if that's okay. Just go ahead and put it out there. This is the resolution authorizing the sale of mixed beverages in the unincorporated areas of Cabarrus County. Whereas General Statute 18B-603D1 reads as follows: in any county in which the sale of mixed beverages has been approved in elections in at least 3 cities that combined contain more than 2/3 the total county population as of the most recent federal census, the County Board of Commissioners may, by resolution, approve the sale of mixed beverages throughout the county, and the commission may issue permits as if mixed beverages had been approved in a county election. And whereas Cabarrus County voters failed to approve the sale of alcoholic beverages in the unincorporated areas of Cabarrus County in an election conducted on February 21st, 1949, and whereas all municipalities within Cabarrus County have approved the sale of mixed beverages within their jurisdictions, and whereas the 2020 decennial census reported the populations of the Cabarrus County and the portions of the municipalities contained therein as follows: Cabarrus County, 225,804, City of Concord, 105,240, City of Kannapolis, 42,846, Town of Harrisburg, 18,967, Town of Midland, 4,684, Town of Mount Pleasant, 1,674, and City of Locust, 541. And whereas the combined population of the portions of the municipalities located in Cabarrus County is 173,952, which is more than 2/3 of the total population of Cabarrus County. And whereas the Cabarrus County Board of Commissioners intends to approve the sale of mixed beverages through the county pursuant to General Statute 18B-603D1. And it says, now therefore be it resolved that the Cabarrus County Board of Commissioners approves the sale of mixed beverages within the unincorporated area of Cabarrus County on, and then the dates after. So my suggestion would be on today, January 17th, 2023, if the other commissioners would like.
Okay, do you put that in the form of a motion?
I will put that in the form of a motion that we vote to pass this as written.
Okay. Do I hear a second to that motion?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and if we could, before we move to discussion, I would ask a question of our attorney. I noticed that this resolution that he just read, do the census figures need to be updated for us to consider that tonight, or is that, I mean, I'm sure it's gotten.
No, it's, excuse me, it's based on the most recent federal census.
Okay, so they already
They
are
they
good.
But I would like to say one other thing. There was apparently the legislature passed a law back in 2021 that this resolution just talks about mixed beverages, but also applies to malt, beer and well, let me put it this way. It applies to on-premises sales of malt beverages and unfortified wine at places that don't have a mixed beverage permit. So it's actually broader than what the resolution says. It basically opens it up to sales of any type of legal alcohol.
So would we need to change the wording that's in there sufficient?
It's sufficient, yes.
Yeah, and so would that make us?
I just wanted you to be aware that it actually goes further than what.
That by doing this, it would extend those privileges as well. And so that's consistent with the municipalities in the county?
Yes.
Currently has? Okay. Okay, and I'll open up the floor for discussion on this motion.
This is for the attorney. So do you think it's in our best interest to expand and put mixed beer, wine, whatever, just to make it very clear to the citizens of Cabarrus County? Because we've seen in some of the prior ordinances and things, when we've done things, they read it one way and interpret it a different way. We had the same issue when we did the gun ordinance, or I forgot what other one it was, but we had to reword it just a little bit, just so that it was for clarity for some folks. That was my only question.
Well, I couldn't argue with that point, that would make it clearer, because then you're relying on what's in this resolution, and you have to refer back to that state statute that was passed in 2021 that basically expands it to all alcohol sales.
Are we required to do an ordinance change on top of this resolution, or will this cover an ordinance change?
No, you don't need no ordinance change. This provision under the alcohol statutes basically says you can do it by resolution.
Okay.
But it's only if you have that population amount that was spelled out in the resolution.
Okay. And if we were to pass this tonight, this would go into effect tonight, tomorrow? Do we have a start date? And is that something we need to work with the ABC or the deputies on to make sure that it, everybody's on the same page?
Well, I think that would become a matter of places that want to offer it, going and getting their permits. They have to get those from the state. So I think that would be up to them. So, I mean, you could make the start date tonight, or you can make it sometime in the future, whenever you want to. But in terms of when it would actually, take effect in a practical way, it'd be when, a business that's in that part of the county, goes and gets their permit.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking, if we approve this tonight, it may take it a little bit while to get out into the community. Do we need to notify the ABC board and everything, so that if somebody comes up to them and says, hey, that is watching this tonight, I'm requesting a permit, and they don't know anything about it. That's why I'm saying, should we put a start date of February 1st, just to give the ABC board to get caught up to that? That's my only concern with that it may cause some headaches for the ABC, for the permitting side of things.
Well, I think, particularly since it's just come up tonight, to be considered, that certainly, giving the ABC authorities, at the state and local level, make them aware of the fact, if it does pass, make them aware of that, would be a smart thing to do.
Right.
To make sure that they're on top of that part of it. The ABC laws in this state are very Byzantine and very complex, and it's hard as devil to make a whole lot of sense out of some of it. But this particular provision, if you met the population provisions of it, made it easy just to basically extend it through the rest of the county.
Okay.
That's what it was designed to do.
Okay. I would just want to make sure for the ease of the ABC and those wanting to, if somebody ran out of here tonight and wanted to go get a permit tomorrow, that they wouldn't have any issues.
That's a good point.
If we just backed it to February 1st, just to allow us to inform the ABC, let the citizens that are watching now, or in the, later on, or they go on and see the minutes, or, if it's in the news or anything like that, I think that gives them, 13 days or so, just to make sure that we're all on the same page if this passes tonight.
Okay, Commissioner Workman, this is your motion. What did you have as your effective date for this resolution?
I'm fine with it being February 1st, as Commissioner Strang said, to give some notice, and that way there's no problems.
Commissioner Hsu, you were the second on that motion.
Yes, that's fine.
Are you okay with that? Okay. So February 1st would be the effective date on the motion that we will be voting on. So is there further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, one other thing that Commissioner Strang brought up about making it a little bit clearer. Is that something that the board wants to do? Because we can redraft it, and add that and also the effective date, and then make it conform to whatever the board wants. Just want to make sure that point was.
If Commissioner Workman would be agreeable to amending his motion, I would recommend that we include in that subject to the review and revision by the county attorney, and then he could make those necessary adjustments. Is that's agreeable
That's agreeable.
to you?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, that the motion and the second has agreed to add to that, subject to the review and revision of the county attorney. And he can make those adjustments needed for clarity. Okay, any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. That motion passes unanimously. Okay, that completes our new business. We move now to reports, and first up is receive updates from commission members who serve as liaisons to municipalities or on various boards and committees.
I'll go. I serve as the liaison for the Kannapolis City Schools. I attended their meeting on the 9th of January. During the holiday break, they had a pretty severe water leak and some flood damage into the Midnight School. The school has been closed since that time. They did file for disaster relief funding to cover some of the interior components that were lost, which were mostly Head Start learning materials, books, desks, those types of things. The insurance will cover the exterior and structural. They are projecting, if all goes well, to open actually tomorrow. But since school went back into session, that facility has not been able to be used. So they're very excited to get back up and running. They also adjusted their new school calendar. The new start date for Kannapolis City Schools will be August 9th, which is one day different from the Cabarrus County Schools, which is August 10th. Prior to this meeting, we had Youth Commission, and they are in the planning stages of their year-end banquet, which tentatively is scheduled for April 24th. We discussed, and just a reminder to the general public, that the Spring Urban Garden Festival is April 29th, and some of our Youth Commission will likely be volunteering out there for that, and that is at the arena. And they are hot and heavy working on their Teen Summit, which is tentatively scheduled for March 18th. They discussed this evening the multiple workstations that they will have. They'll have like a budget simulation, department meetings, panel discussions with elected officials, those types of things. And they're hoping to have 100 to 150 students attend to do that. And then we had some discussion about their project, encouraging students to get out in the community and be involved. And we had some discussion about just different events in Cabarrus County that they can get involved in. That should be, yeah, that's all I have for today.
Great, thank you.
Went to the town of Midland town hall meeting, and as it was read in here, they are already in the stages of planning for their 4th of July fireworks. They are needing, or they are wanting to expand a little bit for a couple hours for food trucks, stage. That way the residents have more than just 20 minutes of fireworks. They're looking at building that out for a couple hours. There's some things that need to be discussed, and I did ask that be added to our work session, the first session in February, so that the town of Midland can have as much notice as possible to start making plans so that they can make payments, make arrangements for the things that they have to set up. So I did ask that be added to our work session. The Cabarrus County School Board, when I went to there, they had recognized Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. They had several policies up for the first reading, and Board Chairwoman Denise Adcock was able to send me a list of their recognitions for tonight. Because of the holiday, their meeting is the same as our meeting tonight, so I could not attend that. But I'm just going to read this from her list. The winners for tonight's business session: Hilbish Ford Teacher of the Month is Cynthia Flake. She's a 2nd grade teacher at Charles Boger Elementary. The Impact Through Education Award winners from Cox Mill Elementary School, and I apologize, Amoy McGill, Ryan Parrott, both those are students. Sandra Kilabas, support staff. Stephanie Martin is certified staff. Cabarrus County Schools, the holiday e-card winners for the traditional category. Elementary school was June Biao, Mount Pleasant Elementary School. Middle school was Lena Hamzi from Roberta Road Middle, and high school was Christian Acosta from J.M. Robinson High School. The digital design category, the elementary school was Chloe Elsashans, Cox Mill Elementary. High school was Reagan Hopkins from Northwest Cabarrus High School. Those are all the winners and their awards that they were presenting tonight during our meeting as well.
You. Any other reports?
The town of Harrisburg got a new board member. A new board member was appointed and sworn in. His name is Mike Thevenden. It's a little difficult to pronounce, so I may have said that wrong, but Mike Thevenden. He and his wife, have lived in Harrisburg since 1993. They've raised 2 daughters. He served as a pastor for 10 years, but he was appointed last Monday to fill a vacancy, and so thought that should be shared. And then I have a general comment I would like to make in regards to, I know the county is in the process of going through a reevaluation, and I feel that maybe we should take a look at that and potentially hold off our evaluation until the market kind of stabilizes or holds off. I believe we're 6 months into it, and it seems like property evaluations are going to increase. However, whenever that comes out, that's probably going to be over a year from now, or a year from now. And I feel like at this point, the market is headed down. I think the housing market's cooled off. So the numbers that we're using right now potentially are going to be skewed, in my opinion. And, as I said, we're only required to do it, every 8 years. I'm not advocating for that at all. I just feel like we're in a unique position right now where last year housing prices were out of the roof. And if we're using that as a basis to go off the reevaluations, from what I hear, property values could go up over 30%. Now, if we continue with the reevaluation, I feel like we should make a commitment as a board to go revenue neutral on the tax rate. Because if property values are increased by 30% or more, and we don't do that, it'll be a serious problem, I feel like. But I wonder if potentially with this reevaluation, if we hold off till the market stabilizes in a year, then finish the process, I feel like we'll have a more accurate number, property value number. So just an opinion. I know that's not on the agenda. I'm not asking for discussion, but I just wanted to throw that out there. That's been on my mind, something I want to discuss.
Okay, any other updates? Okay, then we will now move to general comments by board members. And I would first open the floor to Natalie, if you have anything you'd like to say or report about the Youth Commission.
Basically, the Youth Commission and I are working very hard to improve the commission and get more members out there. It's like, I think it's like 3 or 4 vacancies still out there to different schools to join youth commissions. And we're trying to move that and improve that vacancy spots. And we're trying to, like you said, we're trying to create our youth summit that we're having this April, I think. And trying to get youth out there and more involved into our community. So thank you for having me.
Great, thank you. Okay, commissioners, any other general comments any of you would like to make?
I'm just going to follow up on what Natalie said, just for the general public. The Youth Commission does have an Instagram page, and it's CCYouth.com, and they post things on there. They have things scheduled, events, community events, and things that they're doing, so I encourage the community to take a look at it. They're trying really hard to be involved in the community.
Great, thank you. Any other comments? Okay, hearing none, we do not have need of a closed session tonight. So at this time, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. We stand adjourned. Thank you.